Welcome to the Dream Life is Real Life podcast with your host, Hanna Hermanson, bringing you real-life stories of people who realized their dreams to educate and inspire you to create your legacy of abundance now.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Today, I'm hanging out with Janet Kafadar. Janet is an online business coach who's passionate about helping coaches, entrepreneurs, and experts to package their brilliance into a sustainable, profitable online business. A busy mom and entrepreneur, Janet has personally experienced the frustration and overwhelm of feeling stuck on the path as she's building an online business. She's made some mistakes along the way, and she'll share what she's learned and how these lessons have shaped her perspective as an online business owner and coach working with other online business owners around the world. Welcome, Janet.
Oh, thank you so much, Hanna. Thank you.
So you are working around the world, but where are you talking to us from today?
Okay, so I am originally from London. I was born in London, raised there and all of that jazz, but I live in Canberra, Australia. So quite a long way away, but I have been here in Australia for about 10 years now. So yeah, actually in September, it will be at the end of September, it'll be 10 years exactly. And I'm actually heading back to Europe for 6 weeks in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, it's been quite a journey living down here, for sure.
Well, I always just love asking that question because I come from a family who all lives within, an hour radius, basically. And my relatives will always just be so boggled by the places that I can go and how people I work with are all over the world. And I always just say, what a time to be alive. And so that's, I love hearing that. We're halfway around the world making this happen right now.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Like a lot of people, speak to family members and tell them like, oh yeah, I've just got off a call. I was talking to someone in Canada. They're like, wow, how did you do that? Yeah. How do you coach them from Canada? I'm like, well, that's the power of the internet. Like, Are we blessed? Like, it's amazing.
So, yeah, and man, not to get too much into it, but I'm currently visiting family right now. We got into this conversation about, it came from the book Sapiens and this whole philosophy that we're entering a digital revolution and, how the prospect of artificial intelligence really impacting the way that we live and not that long. And, some people are kind of freaked out by that. And I've decided I want to be on that boat when it sails. And I'm going to use the internet and social media and Zoom to my benefit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and
I'm
benefit of others, of course.
Yeah, I'm on that boat with you. So yeah, let's go.
Well, right. So So I assume that was part of your philosophy in deciding to build an online business. But take us to the early years and what motivated you to start down this path.
Yeah, so it's interesting. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine, probably shortly after I moved here, and I was telling him, I was like, I really do. One day I want to start a business, and he was like, yeah, that's funny, but I didn't know what that would look like, and I had no idea how that would come together. I just kind of knew somehow that I'll have something that was my own. And so anyway, I had my son who is now 7 years old, and I completely underestimated how much motherhood will completely change my life. I really went into it. I just thought, I'm having a baby. It's all right. I'll go back. I'll go back to work. It'll be fine. Yeah, no problem. And that was not the case. So anyway, very early stages, I started out a VA. I started a VA business. I also had my son who was 3 months old, and I was trying to serve clients in Canada and in the UK and being up at 2, 3 a.m. trying to feed him and then trying to work as well. It was when I tell you, Hanna, it was a complete hot mess. And so that was the very early stages, realized that this obviously can't work, and had to take my son and myself to baby sleep school to kind of figure it out. But that was kind of a good realization and kind of waking up moment that made me realize, actually, let me figure out properly, let me do this the right way and figure out what it is that I'm actually good at what I can do to help people. So I went on a journey. It took me about three and a half years, and I built up a course creation agency. And part of that time, at the very early stages, I was doing it whilst working my day job. And it was really successful, went so well, better than I could have anticipated. Clients coming to me directly, all the time, like, oh, can you help me with my course, and designing it and setting it up and helping me with the course curriculum, all of that jazz. And then about 18 months ago, I hit a huge wall, and I was really miserable. And I got to the point where I had people under me working on the heavy lifting side of things, and I was just kind of doing the consulting and the coaching side, and kind of doing the strategy stuff, and that's where I was most excited. But I found myself really at a point where I really didn't want to talk about a course. I didn't want anyone to even come my way and say, oh, can you help me? I was like, no, I just can't. Or even when I did, I found myself there just totally uninterested in what they were saying, and no offense to my clients. And I did tell them this when we parted ways and stuff. But yeah, it was really hard for me, because I'd spent so long, 3.5 years, really building it up. And then to suddenly put a stop on it and say, I don't want to do that, was hard for me. Okay. But in the end, I just had to.
I love this honesty and transparency. And I think that more of us than not have had that experience, whether we're in a job that we thought was the right thing at the beginning, and it was maybe even great and fun at the beginning. That was definitely my traditional career. Or even once you become an entrepreneur, we put ourselves in another set of boxes, and it gets really scary to jump out of it, even if you, aren't, fired up about it anymore. And when I decided to start coaching, I started coaching women with eating disorders. I truly, and I think it was true at that moment, this is my life's purpose. This is what I'm on this planet for. And then you get into it, right? It's I don't want to talk about this anymore. Right. People clinging to me, and it felt really draining. And so something I want to go back to, because I don't know why it just really stood out to me, and I want to dive a little bit deeper. And you said in the first kind of iteration with the VA business, you decided to go back and do it the right way. What do you mean by that? What was the right way?
So for me, how I'm very spontaneous. So I get an idea and I'm like, oh, let's do it. Let's run with it. And I'm already off.
That's me. Okay.
She's gone. Wait, come back. It's normally my husband. Wait, come back. Let's talk about it. No, okay, see ya. I'm already off. And that's pretty much what happened with the VA business. I really just this seems like a good idea. Did a little bit of research, 24, 48 hours. And then within a really short amount of time, I didn't have a website or anything like that. I was already kind of reaching out to people and trying to get clients. Oh my God, but if I think about it now, I think at the time I was probably about 9 months pregnant, and I'm just crazy, such an overachiever. So that was really hard. Well, not hard, but that's how it kind of formulated, and that's how it started. And so once I was instructed by the doctors and the nurses to really calm down and stop, then I took a kind of a backseat and I allowed myself the time to actually do research, to actually sit with myself and actually figure out what it is that I'm good at. So really my skills and my corporate skills came from working for a management consultancy, helping them create learning and development programs, leadership programs, workshops, all for government departments and government agencies to be basically better managers and better leaders. So that really lent itself to helping other people create online courses to teach and educate others. So it took me time. I just let it sit and just thought, let me just be with my son, which is the reason why I was creating a business in the first place. and just allow myself and the idea to just formulate naturally and organically, without any push, without any rush, without all of that stuff. Let's let it breathe. And then that's how it kind of slowly came to pass. And then I actually fell pregnant again with my daughter, and then I had to go back to work. And that's when the agency and all of my ideas kind of came together. So yeah, that's what I mean by the right way.
Well, I just had to ask because I think there tend to be similar principles, and you hit on a lot of those. And I still am really curious what the right way is, because I think
exactly
going into it, we all have our different paths. But I love the principle or the lesson that I'm getting from you, which is don't force it.
Yeah.
And so often people will come to me, okay, I want to start a business. I need to earn money. I want to pay off my debt. I want to buy this. And then I'm like, oof, I don't know if this is going to work out. Well, when you go into anything for numbers, whether you want more Instagram followers or you want more money, I just see that being the fastest route to burnout.
Yeah.
So what you're talking about, and a lot of people say it different ways, but it's like taking a step back, either identifying a problem you can solve or really getting clear on your strengths and how you can offer them to help other people is oftentimes the right way, if you will.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that, sometimes we need to relearn our lesson over and over again until we get it right. So the agency was doing great. And then what happened is that I was just sick of doing the work, and slowly like the client work was dwindling down because it's so interesting. Like the client work was dwindling and they weren't getting as many referrals exactly at the point where I was like, I'm not really in this anymore. And what happened is that I had someone reached out to me as a not-for-profit, and they wanted that locally here in Canberra to do some consulting work with them. And they like headhunted me and said, am I interested? And I was like, why are they reaching out to me? And it was almost one of the perfect opportunities. It was like just a couple of days a week. It meant that I could take a complete break, same thing again, complete break and the kind of hiatus from my course creation agency, and just actually rethink and give myself time to figure out my next move, which led to obviously where I am now and this coaching business and helping women build their online businesses after dark. So yeah, I had to relearn the same lesson from 6 years ago and implement that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's just that success leaves clues thing. And if you're willing to see the clues, and follow them, you'll end up where you are. But I think it's so true, right? If you don't learn the lesson, it'll just keep coming back. It'll just keep hitting you in the face.
Yeah, it's just like tapping on the shoulder, like, hi, I'm here, right? And you didn't really address me the last time. So it's that kind of.
Yeah. Okay. So I know we have a lot of other parents listening, mompreneurs, and it sounds like you have 2 kids under the age of 7 right now.
I have 3 kids.
You felt pregnant another time.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I did. Okay, so, and I say that in a teasing way because I think Americans hearing you fell pregnant, it sounds very different than how we would articulate that. So I just think it's very endearing. But anyway, how are you doing it? What secrets do you have to share, or hacks maybe for mompreneurs?
Yeah, so especially if your listeners are, working a day job and, building a business on the side or trying to figure out what that is, it's really important as well that, and this is what I had to do. So at the time when I was building up the business, I had just 2 kids. So my son was, under 2 years old or 2 or something like that. And my daughter was about 4, 5 months or something along those lines. There's a very short gap, 16 months between them. And so for me, I had to get really focused on my time. And the reason that I had to make sure that I kind of got the business going, or even that I just got clients, like I just needed 1 or 2 clients just to kind of get the wheels turning, was was working a contract which was like a maternity leave for someone. So I had a short window. I was like, well, it ends in this time. I need to make sure at least I've making something to kind of keep the lights on in my house. And so one of the things that I was really focused in on was actually doing something every day. So for 5 days of the week or 4 days of the week, spending at least 20 minutes a day doing something. So at the time, smartphones were nowhere near as amazing as they are now, but I still made sure that when I sat down at my computer, that 20 minutes, I gave myself 20 minutes to do something, whether that was to reach out to someone to do an ideal client kind of customer interview, or whether it was researching about my competitors and kind of understanding them and understanding my industry, potential industry. It was really important. So that's something that I always teach my clients. It's like, build your business on 20 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be, hours that you're potentially sitting at your computer, on a Saturday morning. I'm going to spend 4 hours doing this. It's actually not productive. Yes. If you think about it, right? Like you go to the gym. I go to the gym normally in the morning around now, about 6 a.m. And the trainers say you only need to train for 40, 45 minutes. Anything more than that is completely pointless. And the same principle applies.
You literally just start, it's like self-deprecating, right? Your muscles just kind of start wearing on each other. And the same is totally true with your productivity.
Exactly.
I love that. And I kind of love the permission, 20 minutes a day. I think that's just so, you can digest that. You can chew on that. And I'm taking the permission too. And I don't have kids. However, recently I was at a conference. So I was staying at an Airbnb, and the conference was like long days, like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at this hotel. Yeah. And the night before the conference started, I spilled wine all over my keyboard on my laptop while watching Beyonce on Netflix, being really productive, right? So my computer was fried, and there I was for 10 days, and I was going to be multitasking and, all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, how is this going to work? So I got resourceful, and someone helped me get into the business center so I could use the computer at the hotel, but I only had the lunch period because I wasn't staying at the hotel. And I realized I can do a whole lot in one lunch hour. And it's the same kind of stuff I would take an entire day to do. Like you say, we sit here, and you're not productive if you're sitting at your computer all day, or even if you have access to it all day. So I think that these little bursts, right? Just like high intensity interval training. I think that is such a great philosophy for people wherever, if you're just beginning and you're balancing everything, or if you're up and running and you're used to working quote unquote full time, give yourself some bursts of work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's one of those things that, one of the questions that people may have is like, oh, well, where do I start? And what do I do? And blah, blah, blah. And what about my website? And what about the sales funnel? Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. And I just think,
so big, so fast.
I'm like, no, sweetheart, like we don't need to worry about that for now. Your website copy doesn't matter because you're probably going to have like 4 people visit your website and one of them's going to be your mother. Like it's not necessary. So let's focus in on actually who it is that you want to work with. Yeah. How are you communicating what it is that you do? So simple I help statement. Let's focus in on that. You can grab your phone, you can open Google Docs, and you can start typing in there and kind of figuring that out and getting clear on that so that you can communicate with your potential ideal clients. If it doesn't resonate, then you're going to go back and re-edit it the next day, in the next 20 minutes. Like, it almost gives you permission that it's like, if you think about it, like over a week or over 4 days, how much you can achieve. That's so much. It's better than spending hours and hours trying to figure it out, for sure. So yeah, that's my philosophy there.
Yes. Action that brings clarity, and just kind of chipping away at the massive block of launching an online business a little bit at a time. Yeah, I love it. I'm with you.
Absolutely.
And I hope people, again, whatever stage you're at, that philosophy of starting with who are you talking to, and kind of doing that check-in at least once a week. And okay, I'm taking notes. This is good.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's so important, and so overlooked. And because it's not the shiny, sexy stuff, it's not the, maybe tinkering with a new tool or something like that. it gets so overlooked. And I find that most of the time, if I ask my clients, oh, well, at the very beginning stage, who are your ideal clients? And then they tell me, I'm like, is that really your ideal client? Have you actually spoken to them? Mm-hmm. Is that the problem that they're seeking, or the problem that they're trying to fix? And most of the time they say no. So I'm like, well, we need to make sure that you truly understand them. And so you need to get on the phone.
Right. Yes. Right. Income producing activities, real conversations, like focus on that, not the font you're going to put on your PowerPoint. Like that's not going to change your life or their life. Right.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter. They don't care.
Right. Okay, Janet, I am getting the vibe that you are very transparent and real. And so are you open to like a little like real talk, maybe more on the theoretical level about all of this course creation and entrepreneurship? I'm just going to put something out there and I'm just curious what your perspective is.
Sure. So, yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
So something that I have been just kind of, marinating on is this trend of starting online courses, of having an automated, evergreen, just one funnel away from owning my island and just selling knowledge or repackaging something I learned somewhere else and selling it. So I'm not even saying that this is like an oversaturated market.
Yeah.
Do you have any response to a theory or an inkling that this could be, coaches coaching coaches and creating courses for course creators, that there could be this kind of like hollow economy? Has that ever, presented itself to you? Yeah. Tell me why.
I'm laughing because that is one of the reasons that I got sick of doing the work I was doing. And so this is what happened. So I had my son, I fell pregnant with my third child, and we went on, I had maternity leave, and in that time we decided to go away, back to Europe. My husband's from Croatia and I'm from London. So we went back to Europe to go and see our family. And my business was, wasn't taking any clients. My team were working on the remaining projects that were still open, but that was it. Mm-hmm. And so, I had a complete break. The Wi-Fi and the internet signal there is just completely terrible. So I really was off the grid in some ways. And so when I got back after my trip, and then I was kind of checking things out, seeing things, how they're all going. And to me, I'd only been away for like 6 weeks. But when I came back, I was like, what the hell happened? Like it was, it was exactly as you said. It was like that same, we're only one funnel away, etc. And it just felt like every man and his dog was talking about creating a course. But and I had already spent like 4 years earlier, 3.5 years earlier, or actually by that time it wasn't 3.5 years, but spent a whole heap of time earlier actually working with clients to actually create really core focused, learning focused courses and programs. That was my thing. Like if you're coming to me because you want to, create something, little thing to sell to someone, no, that's not my jam. Like if we're talking about something that's truly transformational. And I felt like my work was almost, the work that I was striving to do with my clients was almost getting diluted by all of that kind of noise out there. And I was like, no, I don't like this. This doesn't feel right. And I just got a little bit sick of it. Like it was, and I have been really conscious and mindful that to really clean up my own feed and their Facebook feed with all of that stuff, because it grates me and it makes me really upset that it's like that they make it seem like, set up your automated sales funnel and do this right now, and this is this is your ticket to blah, blah, blah. And then that's when my clients come to me and I'm like, but you don't need all of that. Now in my coaching business, I'm like, no, you don't need a sales funnel. I don't even have a sales funnel, and I have a successful coaching business. Like, what? Like, let's keep things really simple,
I'm so with you. Yeah, I'm so with you. And I think that there are shiny objects and squirrels, like we kind of joked about running around. And I also feel that way, right? Like, and I know the algorithm is playing against me to have this like skewed perspective that, okay, everyone now has a course, or everyone now has, and it also goes in waves, right? Like first it was courses, then it was high ticket coaching. Now it's like masterminds, then it'll be retreats. And
exactly.
So what advice would you give people who are in this space and who do want to educate and, empower people online as they're kind of navigating these questions or having these things pop up in their feed? What would you tell someone that might be going through the same thing?
So I would say there's a couple of things. One, try to kind of clean up your feed, as in unlike or unsubscribe or whatever it is from those people that may even they may have that, you may have that feeling within you like, oh, I don't quite like this. Release the FOMO and just be like, okay, bye for now. Like it's not my jam. Like I don't want to stay in that space. And the other thing I would say is to really just focus in on, especially if you're dear listener, if you're just starting out and you're kind of thinking, what should I do? Kind of release the noise for a start, and then just allow yourself to just coach, work with someone one-on-one. Yes, it might not be your forever journey, right? It might not be the thing that you want to do for the rest of your life if you're not into that, but it solves two problems. Allows you to get really clear on who your ideal client is by working with them one-on-one, because you actually get to hear them, on a weekly basis, what their struggles are, right? And then from there, you can evolve that into however you wish. But I highly, highly recommend to all of my clients, I'm like, yes, I know that you want to have a retreat down the track, but I do want you to work one-on-one with people, or in a small group setting, as in like 3 or 4 people.
I am literally like lifting my hands in praise to you, because I am on the same exact wavelength. I think too many people, I know my clients have come to me and they're like, well, I spent 3 months working on this course that nobody's bought. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's back it up, and well, I did market research and I did product fit. And I'm like, but what real people did you talk to? How do you know the process? You just made this up. So I think that's so important to be in integrity with creating something that's actually going to get results. Like make sure it's gotten those results, even if it's on the one-on-one level, or even if it's, an in-person thing that you test out before you automate it. I think that is a huge piece of feeling like you are authentic and you are providing unique value.
Yeah, exactly. And that you understand, like I just see so much of, and this is what kind of one of the reasons that I started this coaching business, is that a lot of the stuff that I saw was so generic and so samey that it just completely blew my mind. I was like, wait a minute, who's speaking to the woman who is working a day job, raising a family? She's trying to do all the things, go to the gym and drink enough water, to actually, keep her life in check. But she still has this burning desire to do something more. Who's speaking to her about how she can actually build her business and what she can do to move forward, and what does she need to do? So that's where I was like, this is my space. So, and I already know how to do that. So,
right. And that brings us back full circle, right? Like just kind of pumping the brakes, taking a step back. What do I know? Who can I help? And then, growing from there in real relationship, like you touched on as well. So, okay. Thank you for going there. I love this. This is great. But we are starting to get to where we're at the pop quiz round of the show. Speaking of educating.
Okay.
I have 3 last questions for you.
Okay, cool.
You've given us some already, but I just really want to get like a laser focused answer on this one.
Okay.
What is one thing listeners can do today to get them closer to their dream life?
So focus in on what you want, right? Focus in on how you want to focus in on the business that you want and the life that you want. What do you want that life to look like? That's why I love your podcast so much. What do you want that life to look like? Imagine that and really sit with it. And then we're going to start slowly doing those things now. So whether that is, connecting with your ideal clients or doing that research. So yeah, sorry, slightly long-winded answer.
No. I'm going to even add a sidebar to that. When you picture that, like seriously, listeners, take time today because it might be different than what you thought last quarter or what your partner wants for you or your mom or whoever. And so quieting the noise, not just from your newsfeed, but from those other loud, literal voices in your life and, let it change. I had to do this quarterly. And let me tell you, I thought I was on a very different track even just 6 months ago. And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Question number 2. If you could give listeners a gift, like a tangible resource, what would you want all of them to have?
Ooh, I would want them to have my 20 minutes a day guide because that is amazing and you need to go and pick it up for sure.
Ooh, well played. I like it. What's it about?
Yeah, so it is build your business on 20 minutes a day, like we talked about earlier. And it's just 3 simple strategies and 3 simple things that you can do. You can download it from your phone and you can sit there and you can go through them before you sit down and watch your favorite like Netflix show, So you can go ahead and download that as well. But yeah, so my tangible tool, I suppose that is a tool, but it's also an action step as well. Just kind of reframe your mind and just think, what can I do in 20 minutes? 20 minutes to help move my business forward tonight. What can I do? Or what can I do today? And just allow yourself that. If you don't think of anything, don't worry about it. But that's my thing.
I love it. Yeah, just that mindset is so powerful. So that leads us to the last question, which is where can people stay connected, download the guide, and learn more about what you're up to?
Awesome. Yeah, so you can download the guide at janetkafadar.com/Dream Life is Real Life. And you can find me over on Facebook. I do Facebook Lives over there a couple of times a week. And that's pretty much where I hang out. I don't really hang out on my website. I hang out on Facebook and inside of my...
real. That's where no one else is really hanging out on web. We're all on the one website. That's
exactly.
Facebook, right?
That's right. And so, and I email my community every week. So you can come and check out what I've been up to and sharing my insights and stuff that's happening behind the scenes in my family life and all that crazy stuff. So yeah.
Well, it has just been so fun hanging out with you this much. So I'm sure people will love to go see more of you. And I'll make sure those links are in the show notes. It's Janet Kafadar, Kafadar.
Yes, that's right. That's right. janetkafadar.com/Dream Life is Real Life.
That just has such a nice ring to it, doesn't it?
It does. Perfect.
Janet, thank you so much. This was so much fun. I learned a ton and I know listeners did as well. So for the rest of you guys, I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life your real life.
You've been learning how to make your dream life your real life with Hanna Hermanson. To get the resources mentioned on today's show and to listen to past episodes, visit www.dreamlifeisreallife.com.